Movie audiences first saw Robert Duvall on film 20 years ago in To Kill a Mockingbird as Boo Radley. 30 films later, Vincent Canby wrote in the New York Times, "It's about time to recognize Robert Duvall as one of the most resourceful, most technically proficient, most remarkable actors in America today. I think he may well be the best we have, the American Olivier." And we'll be right back with Robert Duvall. Robert Duvall is with us. Welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to be here. It all happened very quickly from yesterday afternoon until now.
It certainly did. It's a test for both of us.
Right.
I think. I offered a quote, and I was just telling you how much I had enjoyed reading that Vincent Canby piece in the New York Times. And the premise of it was, Robert Duvall's moment has come.
Yeah,
and that here... Do you agree?
Well, yeah, but your moment is always evolving, so there's no absolute moment now that you've come. You know, you can think of it that way, but it's always an evolvement, I guess.
I offer that back to you because you're a friend of 25 years. Ulu Grossbart,
yeah, oh yeah,
has said about you that, first of all, True Confessions came to be because De Niro wanted to work with Robert Duvall, and the feeling of the two of you...
And I wanted to work with him, surely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also it was Ulu Grossbart who said, having known you, Dustin Hoffman, Gene Hackman for all the years he has, that Dustin had always planned, that he'd worked out his career, but Bobby, he said, meaning you, went on instinct.
Well, maybe. I guess Ulu, you know, he's one kind of guy. He's very much an intellectual guy, and although I'm not unheady, I guess I'm more an instinctive person, and the two of us working together, it's a nice combination, or it has been, and maybe that's true. Maybe that's true, yeah.
Bob, when I offer that quote from Vincent Canby, and Canby says in the New York Times that you may indeed be America's Olivier, and I think of that time in your life when you have said that there was a period when you looked down on actors, but even during that youthful, when you, before you really studied, and you said that even though you might have looked down on actors, you would still go into your room, comb your hair like Olivier, and do soliloquies in front of the mirror.
Oh, this was when I was like 17, 18 years old. Before that, I really wanted to know if I wanted to be an actor. It entered my mind. I was flirting with the idea that I might like it, not flirting with the idea that maybe I would become an actor. Because when I went to college, then the transformation came, because actually it was my parents that kind of pushed me into it. My father being a military man, it was an expedient measure because I was flunking everything. It was the end of the Korean War, so it was either pass honorably or flunk out and go to Korea. So they kind of shoved me into acting, and I was petrified. But I had flirted with the idea of maybe liking it, not necessarily doing it at that time in high school when I did that, yeah.
When you do that, how did you comb your hair like Olivier?
Then I had hair. Now I got 3 to do it with. Well, I'd seen Hamlet, or you know, and I kind of enjoyed it, but and I had friends that were interested in the theater and so forth. My brother, they both are singers, and so you know, I was floundering like I had seen on your tape with Gene Hackman. He was floundering at a similar time in his life, a little earlier even maybe, that he had thought of being an actor, and I was, I guess, kind of looking for things to do or to be, or some niche to fill that I could feel worthwhile, doing.
Am I wrong in having the impression, having spent time with your friends Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman, that there were periods when one of the three of you might be working, but there were times when Dustin Hoffman would be sleeping on the floor in the kitchen, or you were working at Macy's, or you got fired, or Dustin Hoffman was ADing somewhere.
Yeah.
But the three of you never seemed to get it going at the same moment.
Not so much. Gene said to me, I knew Gene Hackman first, and he had known Dusty first, I guess. He said, you know, there's this kid that's going to be coming to New York with a great big nose and a shock of black hair, and he usually sleeps on my kitchen floor. And his name is Dusty Hoffman. So we met and we became friends. And then Gene, I saw Gene periodically, but Dusty, my older brother, me, and 2 or 3 other guys, there was a cantor, a singer. We all had one apartment in the Upper West Side. And we had great parties and times and so forth. So
when did John Voight join this group?
Well, I was never really close friends with John, but he joined kind of the group in Ulu, and all of us. We had a production of A View from the Bridge off Broadway, in which Dusty was the assistant stage manager. It was before Dusty had made his mark, really, you know, and so he was always getting the bones, you know. I took him along to Naked City. I said to Herbert Leonard, the producer, read this kid, he's terrific. So, and then somebody else that happened with, so Marion Dougherty said, when you're not acting, I'll let you be a casting agent if you want. But Dusty, then he kind of like catapulted, you know, in some ways, in some obvious ways, more than all of us. You know, his stardom has been, and it was like the old days, really, that it doesn't happen that way anymore. You know, when he did The Graduate, it just went, he took off. But it's funny, you know, when you talk about that, and Jimmy Caan and I were good friends for a while, but like, I was at Jimmy Caan's house one time, and there's a nucleus of Mexican gardeners in the LA district that's they've kind of taken over the work from the Japanese gardeners. And I said to Jimmy's gardener from Mexico, oh, you work for Gene Hackman, where does he live? So he told me, I went and knocked on a door and hadn't seen him in a couple of years. I said, Jimmy's gardener, who's your gardener, told me where you live. Because the point I'm making is when people begin to make it, it seems you never see each other again. You go this way, you go this way, you go this way. And I don't see those guys much anymore. I don't know why, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I'd like to see Gene again because he and I had certain things in common. We used to ride horses, and he likes to play tennis. I play tennis, you know. But he's, maybe of all those guys, he's the one I like his acting the best, maybe.
Do you know why?
Just, he's touched on something maybe that I feel the others haven't. Some form of, I've seen greatness in some of his work. And although he lately or has picked things, I haven't seen him in 3 or 4 or 5 years in anything at all. Plus, as I understand it, nothing of note. And now he's trying to get back, you know.
Did he get in touch with
you?
you?
The book, Ulu had contacted him in True Confessions at one time. He didn't want to do it. And when he saw the movie, he said, I wish I'd have done, you know, because I think he enjoyed the movie.
I just wondered if Gene Hackman got in touch with you after seeing Badge 373.
No. It wasn't that great of a movie. His thing was better. It was a whole, ours wasn't, you know, it's one of those things.
It's so strange how, isn't it, how things happen to actors, because I think of you doing that very early Horton Foote play.
Tomorrow?
No. That came later. You were on stage.
Midnight Caller?
Midnight Caller.
You know, they say you do that. You did it.
And Horton Foote was there working on To Kill a Mockingbird, and the memory hit him.
Yeah.
And he said, Boo Radley, Robert Duvall, Midnight Caller.
Right. And actually, it was his wife who broached it, who said, what about Bobby Duvall? Then I did a TV show that they saw, and then the next day I got a phone call, and that was my first feature film part. Yeah.
From Midnight Caller to Tender Mercies with a screenplay by Horton Foote?
I've done a trio of Horton Foote's movies now, and I feel that's like my best work. It's like going home when I do his work. I asked Olivier when I worked with him, and I asked Tommy Lee Jones, the Texas, and neither of those guys had ever heard of Horton Foote. He's a Texas playwright and one of the best writers in America, but he's kind of little known among certain circles. He did Tomorrow, another play we did, and then Tender Mercies, the last film I've done. He wrote an original screenplay.
Baby, the Rain Must Fall?
Yeah.
Steve McQueen?
This Tender Mercies is a better film than To Kill a Mockingbird. It's better made, it's better acted, and it's better. I'll go out on a limb and say that. Bruce Beresford directed it. The fellow did Breaker Morant.
And you get to sing.
Morant. Oh yeah.
Country and Western singer who hasn't quite hit the top 40 with a bullet.
No, he was like a big guy, and then he's coming up. But yeah, both my brothers growing up, you know, they were opera singers. One of them sings with the Milwaukee Opera. So and they listened to Caruso, Geely, Bjorling, all those guys, and I would listen to Hank Williams, Lefty Frizzell, little Jimmy Dickens.
Now your brother Jack is the attorney from Alexandria, Virginia.
Right. He's also a singer.
Was he?
He is. He sings with the Gridiron every year, the Gridiron Press for the president. And beautiful tenor voice.
I like the fact that when you were explaining why you hired your brother as an agent manager, you said first of all you could trust him, and secondly your very first agent was a pal from college.
Well, my second, he was, Merritt Blake represented me for a while. Yeah. So keep it in the family, it's okay.
All right, on that we will take a commercial break. Be right back with Robert Duvall.